Hey Blessed fam, it's your girl Bella. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry if the lighting is kind of off. It's 8:30 in the morning. I usually don't have my ring light on this early, and I don't know if the sun is like fully here with us. But today I'm going to be doing a video where I read books with food on the cover. I don't know how I'm going to title this. I don't know if I'm titling this reading books about food, reading books with food on the cover, because technically the books are they about food? I mean, I don't know. I haven't read them yet. I've actually read like 2.5 of them, but I'm going to be reading books with food on the cover, and then I'm also going to be eating something out of each book. We're going to rank these books from best to worst, or not best to worst, but from what I enjoyed the most to what I enjoyed the least, as well as rank the foods from what I enjoyed the most to what I enjoyed the least. So I think this will be fun. It'll be a fun way for us to, read some books together. I can get some books off my TBR, get them read, and also we can eat some food, try something new. Some of these foods I'm going to just go out and buy, some I'm going to have to make. So I'm pretty excited. So the first book is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a contemporary YA book. It's set in high school. It's about a Afro-Latina, and she has a child and she loves cooking. That's what this book is about. The next book is Happy Hour by Marlo Granados. If you are not new to my channel, I have actually touched on this book 2 other times in 2 other videos. So if you've seen those, you already know my thoughts about this, but this is the next book. Come For Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. This is a short horror novella. And the last one, y'all see I have a bookmark in it, is Woman Eating by Claire Coda. This is another horror book, and it's about a woman who's like half vampire, half human, and she's like fighting her urge to be a vampire because she really loves food. I think that's how I've heard it. That's how I've heard it being sold. I don't really know what it's about exactly. I'm only like 10 pages in, but that's our next one. So those are the 4 books we'll be reading for this video. Stay tuned to see what I think about them. So I'm currently laying in bed, but I wanted to give you all the first update on Happy Hour. So I am about 77 pages in. I don't know what percentage that is, maybe like 25%? I don't know. Somewhere in that range. And I'm really bored. Like I'm really bored reading this book. So this book is about our main character, Issa. She is living in New York with her friend Gala, and they are just living life. Like this book has absolutely no plot. It's written in like a journal format, so we're getting different timestamps, we're getting like different dates. We're in the summertime, and we start off in May, now we're in June, and this book literally has like no plot whatsoever. And sometimes I can like vibe with a book that's like no plot, all vibes, and you're just like, it's very character driven. Like I can work with that. Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau was a book that was like that. It was a coming of age story, and it was it was no plot, all vibes, and I adored that book. This one is really boring me. I actually dang near wanted to DNF it, but I was like, let me power through, and there's not an audio for it on Libby, so I'm trying to power through. But I want to come on here and say that there's a lot of food references in this book, so there's like absolutely no way I'm doing all the food references in here. But on page 26, there was a mention of cold sake. Let me find it. They were at this like Japanese themed party. I don't know if the people who were at the party were even Japanese or if we're just culturally appropriating or what's going on. But some girls invited into the room. They were like, "What are you doing standing over there? Come to our private room. We've ordered 3 bottles of cold sake." So I'm gonna try some sake. I don't know where exactly to get it, but we're gonna try some sake. So there's also another mention of food on page 40. This is Issa talking. For breakfast, we had something my grandfather used to make for me when I was little. Gallopouts and wines till I get up to cook it. First, you cut up 2 hot dogs and put them in a pan with only a little oil, allowing them to brown. Eggs are rather delicate, and if you cook them wrong, you will end up using half a carton and will still leave 2 people hungry. When scrambling the eggs, you should always add a splash of milk to make the mixture a buttery yellow. Cooking them on low heat keeps them fluffy. Before they solidify in a pan, add a sprinkle of both cayenne and paprika. Gala says I do this to make sure it's more palatable and that there is a fullness in taste. You only need about 2 eggs per person, so the meal is in fact economical, and it gives you quite a lot of energy due to all that protein. So I want to make this too, but I'm not using a hot dog because I'm not eating a hot dog and eggs. Am I crazy? I'm gonna do this for the sausage, but I will make them fluffy, or I'll try to make them fluffy, and I will only use cayenne and paprika. Cap, I'm so gonna use seasoning salt. Am I crazy? Like, I'm gonna use seasoning salt, but I'll use cayenne and paprika. I won't use like garlic powder and other things that I would normally put on eggs. So yeah, in the next clip, we're going to go ahead and make some eggs, and you're gonna go with me to find some sake. And because this book is called Happy Hour, I think I'm going to check out a happy hour in this video. Okay, so my final update on Happy Hour by Marlo Granados. Honestly, I have so many things to say. First, when I film these reading vlogs, y'all don't know, these are filmed over a period of time. So the first clip you saw of me reading this book was back in November. It is now January. I DNF'd this book because I thought it was insanely boring. I think I DNF'd it around like 30 or 40% in. So this book is about two best friends. One's Gayla and someone else, and they're living in New York, and it's just about their everyday life, like them earning money, them going out to eat, them going to parties, but it's like very boring. There's like absolutely no plot in this book. So this book I DNF'd. It was so boring, I could not get through it, and it's unfortunate that I had to DNF it. But I have a few more updates. One, I did go and get sushi yesterday, so I know in the earlier clip I said I might go out to Happy Hour, that would be fun, but then I remembered that I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Happy Hour is not even a thing down here. At least in terms of alcohol, there's no such thing as a alcohol Happy Hour in Charlotte. If you get discounted drinks at Happy Hour in Charlotte, like if a company decides to do Happy Hour drinks, they have to sell drinks cheap the whole entire day, so Happy Hour is not really a thing here. They have Happy Hour for food, but not drinks. And I also decided that I wanted to get sushi instead, because there's a part in the book where, I think it's on page 40, where she got like nigiri and sake or something like that. I know she definitely got sake, and they've talked about sushi multiple times in this book. Ooh, there's the food. I can't even lie to you. The food in this book was given. Like, the only fresh vegetables that can be found in our neighborhood are tomatoes, iceberg lettuce, and pickles. I mean, iceberg lettuce isn't really but still. Anyway, so I got some sushi with my friend Amber. She was trying to do some telekinesis, as y'all can see. But the sushi was so good, like 10 out of 10 would recommend to a friend. I got it at Oku, located in South End if you're in the Charlotte area. I know they also have an Oku in Raleigh and probably other places. It's a chain, I believe. I just know it's not only in Charlotte. But it was so good. And I got two types of sake as samples. I didn't really like either one, so we ended up just getting like some Prosecco, toasting to that. We were toasting to 1 year of friendship, so that was pretty exciting. And I was also thinking, since I'm not going to go to a Happy Hour, what if we play Cooking Mama? Isn't that fun? I think we should play Cooking Mama. If there's a Cooking Mama like game on the iPhone, which I don't see why there wouldn't be, we're gonna do that. Let me go ahead and see and check and see if there is a Cooking Mama game, because that would be so fun. There is! Oh my gosh. If you used to have a DS, like, you know, Cooking Mama was that girl. Let's see, Miss Cooking Mama. Welcome to Cooking Mama. Within 24 hours from the initial act. Quit playing with me. We're gonna make one thing on here. All this extra stuff we're not finna do. So let's get in the kitchen. Spaghetti aglio e olio. Oh, Jesus. I should dang near cook something on here too, shouldn't I? Wouldn't that be fun? Y'all, I don't know what's going on. This is not how it looks on the DS. Collect happy foods and game coins. You can play various recipes. Exchange them for... Okay, I don't care. Okay, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much. Okay, let's try this limited recipe. Or, ooh, we should make something on here. So we got a little cupcake that looks busting. We got... I don't know what they're pointing at right now. Don't know what that is. This looks good. Ooh, a Salisbury steak. Ooh, we gonna make it a Salisbury steak. Yes! Girl, I hope I make it good. Y'all gonna be like, Isabella. Okay. Do the action as indicated. Okay. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is not how you chop an onion. If you chop the heads off first, you're gonna be crying. Cooking Mama don't know nothing. Chop them heads off, you're gonna be crying while you cutting that onion. Boom, 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 boom. Slice it and dice it. Ooh, I'm messy. Okay. Ooh, I'm too strong. I don't know my own strength. Ooh, this look good. Look good. This is not very fun. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is not that fun, honestly. Who does this with some beef? This is the thing that Cooking Mama do love to do though. Like, I can remember using these little beef not mincers, I don't know what this is actually called, this little device, but I can remember doing this on the DS version. I'm getting all the stars too. Y'all know I'm a top chef. Quit playing with her. We're gonna need the meat now. We got our fried onions in there. Okay, let's go ahead and go that way. Ooh, that way. Ooh. This is so disgusting. Like in real life, having to do this with meat is like actually so gross. Ooh. I did not know this is what a Salisbury steak looked like. I guess all I know is Wagyu steak. Hot potato, hot potato. Hot potato, hot potato. Hot potato, hot potato. Potato. Potato, potato, potato. And now we're gonna fry up that steak. What's that mean? Ooh, I want my steak medium. Don't nobody make no steak like this. Like, be for real, for real. Maybe it's because it's Salisbury and I don't know what a Salisbury steak is. But don't nobody cook no steak like this. I'm pretty sure I'm messing this steak up now. Time is ticking, child. Dang, look well done on the top. Am I supposed to be flipping it? Like, what is this? Y'all don't even tell me what to do no more. Child, I don't know what to do with my steak. Oh! Okay, this is gonna have to burn. It ain't gonna be charred. Oh! It's terrible. That is terrible. Let's see how it looks. Like, right at the end when it really mattered is when I messed up. Like, your recipe stock is set and we're good. No, I don't care. Can I actually see my steak though? Maybe that's what they just asked me that I said no to. I need to see my steak. Alright, so I'm ready to give you all my first update on Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. But before I give y'all this update, I want y'all to know I got color changing lights. So aren't they so dope? Like, I changed both my light bulbs. It's a vibe. It's a vibe, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay, but it is nighttime, so let me be serious and just put the normal white light on. But I am 40% into this book. This book is 100 pages and it is a horror novel. I have a really hard time saying that word. I'm not a horror reader historically. This is only the second horror novel I've ever picked up. And I don't really know how to describe what it's about. So far what I'm getting from the book is that our main character, Sophia, lives in this town and it's called Arcadia Gardens. And this town has like, or it's not a town, it's like a community, a neighborhood. And this community has like a lot of like really like strange rules. Like, for example, one of the rules is that your lawn must always be between 1.5 and 2 inches at all times. You can't have overnight guests, only 2 residents per house, but you can't have kids, which I'm kind of confused by because one of the characters has 2 kids. So I'm a little bit confused by some of these rules just because like they're super weird, but like it seems like they're not all getting followed. But pretty much our main character, Sophia, she lives in this town, in this neighborhood, in this community, and she lives there with her husband, and she's always like, okay, my life is perfect, it's perfect, but she feels like something's off with her husband because like she doesn't want to admit to herself that she thinks he might be cheating because he's like always at work and he's like never at home. She's like a little bit suspicious about that, but she's trying to like put it out of her mind. And like all these weird things keep happening around her house. She's like a stay-at-home wife and all she does is just stay at home and cook and clean. And she's like starting to see all these weird things in the house. And then also she has these 3 friends that she wants to go like have tea with. And she brings them all like snacks each time or gifts each time she comes over. And she brought over some cheese that she made, some larvae or something like that, and then like an animal heart. And based on the description, the animal heart is like not cooked. And then her friends just started eating them. Like the only normal thing was the cheese. And so like her friends, her little old lady friends, are eating like some weird AF food, like hardly even food. But she seems more normal because she's describing the food that she eats. And she's eating normal stuff like chicken roast and plums and normal stuff. So I think I have decided what I'm going to eat though. I'll probably make it after I finish the book because I plan to finish this book tonight and then make something tomorrow and we can make it together. But here's where I saw some food that sounds interesting. I'll just read the whole sentence. In this scene, she's like describing her home. So she says, the towering bed, the dizzying staircase, the splendid mirror, the high hook for her long robe, the heavy walnut table downstairs as tall as a plow horse at the shoulder, where she will later perch briefly, swinging her legs in the air and eat honey and butter on toast points before heading out into the buttery honeyed light of the afternoon. So I think based off this And off the food description so far, I'm going to eat some toast points with honey and butter. I've already Googled what a toast point is, and it's pretty much just like nicer bread, such as like brioche bread or whatever, with the crust cut off, and you cut it into triangles, and then you just pop it in the oven for a little bit. So I have brioche bread. I just bought some yesterday. It's like the only bread I eat. So I'm going to do that, and then maybe just make like a honey butter mix and try it. It seems pretty safe to eat. Everything else that's been mentioned has been like the animal heart, the larvae, some plums, and also she mentioned like a roast that she made. It was like very detailed. It was like a roast with like peas and cucumbers and all this random stuff in it. First of all, I don't know how to roast a chicken. Let's just be for real. I do not know how to roast a chicken. Second, I don't want to roast a chicken. And third, the things that she stuffed in the chicken did not sound appealing. Like, I don't want to stuff a chicken with whatever she stuffed it with. Let's see. She said roast chicken stuffed with pears, what? And citron. Buttered peas with mint and thyme. Like, what? Absolutely not. So I'm gonna make some toast points later on, but I'll be back in a bit to give y'all a final update because I feel like I'm going to finish this book today. And so far I have like no feelings because I don't really understand what's going on or what this book is. Like, I don't really understand, but at least it's short, so I'll be done soon. Okay, so I finished reading Comfort Me with Apples. I'm not rating this book because I don't really know how to rate it. I will say this book is very interesting. It is a novella, so it's only 101 pages, but it's very interesting. All of the chapters are names of apples, which I didn't realize until I got to the very, very end that these are all apple names. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, they're literally all apple names, which I thought was pretty cool. I will say this book is a retelling, which I did not realize it was a retelling at first. In this book, our main character Sophie is living in an HOA, and so we get the HOA rules like listed throughout the book. And once we got to rule 22, I knew exactly what was going on, and that was probably on page like 60. But again, this is like 100 pages. That's when I realized that this was a retelling, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about that. And I don't want to go into like detail because if I go into detail, I will spoil this book. Like, this book is really short, so it'll be really easy to spoil, and I don't want to do that if you want to read this. But I would say it's for a very specific audience. I found the book unique and I thought it was interesting, but I just don't want to rate it because I don't know if it's like blasphemous. I don't know if it's a blasphemous book. Like, I don't know. So I'm not going to rate it. If you're interested in reading it, I would say just read some reviews to see if it would bother you or not. This lighting is really bad. I feel like I look a lot crustier on camera than I look in real life. But we are about to make these toast points. So the recipe is just brioche bread that you put in the oven, let it like toast, I guess. Well, that's a toast point. It's just brioche bread that you let toast, but specifically in the oven. And then she made like a honey and butter thing. So I'm only doing this with one slice of bread because I don't know if I'll like it. I mean, it's just honey and butter on bread, but also like I'm not even that hungry. So here's a slice of brioche bread. I always get the Nature's Own Perfectly Crafted thick sliced brioche style bread. It's my absolute favorite. I already had it. I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 375. I'm not even putting a freaking baking sheet down. Like, no, I'm not. And then for our little honey butter thing, I've already let this butter soften. I do want to give you all an update about how I have decided to rate this book. So when I talked about it last time, I wasn't like positive about how I wanted to rate it. I decided I'm giving this book 1 star. And it's not even because I necessarily think that the book is horrible, like, oh, like I hated reading this, was a horrible reading experience. I'm giving it 1 star more on the respect factor. So this is not a spoiler, but this book is a retelling, and it's specifically a Bible retelling. And I think once I got to like rule number 20 or 22, I realized it was a Bible retelling. And I just honestly didn't appreciate that. This book is one of the lowest rated books on my TBR. And I feel like it may be because people have the same sentiment. I just don't think it's appropriate to retell a story that is based off of a religious belief. Like, I understand like Cinderella retellings, Peter Pan retellings, the Little Red Riding Hood retellings. Like, yeah, all that makes sense. But people who are Christian read the Bible, and it is their actual faith system. And I think it's inappropriate to do a retelling of a book that is based off someone's faith. Like, I don't know. And I just feel like a lot of times with Christianity, a lot of stuff gets looked over because a lot of people hate Christians. And I just feel like if this was like a story from maybe the Quran or the Torah. Well, the Torah is technically in the Bible too, but I feel like if this is a retelling of something that was in the Quran or another religious book that people may have not even been offended, you know what I mean? Like, or people, like, not people would have been more offended. People may have like spoken and been like, oh, that's inappropriate. But I think because it's from the Bible, like, people are like, it's the Bible. We don't like Christians anyway. Like, that's just how I feel about it personally. I didn't appreciate the retelling. I thought it was inappropriate. And that is ultimately why I'm giving the book 1 star. I just felt like it was inappropriate and it was unnecessary, and I didn't like that. So that's how I feel personally. If you read the book and you're not Christian, you might not have the same thought process, but I think a lot of people felt that way. I think the most accurate review that I saw literally said, what a strange retelling of a popular story, which obviously as Christians we don't believe it's a story. We believe it's like, I mean, it's a story, but we believe it as truth. But yeah, I think even people who weren't Christians thought it was weird. It was just weird. And so I'm giving the book 1 star, but I will still try the toast points, of course. I'm curious. I wish I could just toast them normal, like, okay, I think this is ready. Woo! So we've got our, ooh, I just let my buttery knife fall on the counter. But got our little bread. I hope this isn't like too much butter. I'm not even someone who like be using butter in this fashion, to be honest, like buttery toast. It's not something I normally do. But we are gonna try out these toast points with honey and butter. The butter is literally already melting because the bread is freaking hot. Now it's time for our taste test. Also, I saw another person who had a recipe. They said like cut off the crust and cut into triangles. Me, I'm not saying baby. I can eat the crust. So let me pray first. Pretty good. Like the honey was good because the butter that I use is actually with no salt added. Because why would I add a bunch of salt to my butter? Like, no. On top of that, butter is already like pretty salty. Like this has a salty flavor and there's no salt added. And so the honey is like a nice way to offset that. And it's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty good. Should I have just kept the ring light off? Because this lighting is like way better. And I'm kind of upset about it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our next book, which is Woman Eating. I forgot what this book is. I believe it's like a paranormal book about a half human, half vampire who just enjoys eating food. And I think it's peddled as a horror novel, but from what I've heard, you shouldn't try to read it as a horror. You should just read it as like a fun, good time. And I heard that it has like lots of food descriptions. So I'm really, really hoping I like this. I'm low-key getting into a reading slump. I'm filming this exact clip on January 13th, which y'all probably don't know this, but these videos take forever to film. Like when I was reading Happy Hour, that was all the way back in November. Like sometimes these videos take like months to film. This is going to be my 8th book of 2023, and like I said, it's January 13th. And I'm low-key getting in a reading slump already because I've only had 1 4-star book this month, and it was a nonfiction book. And for some reason, like when I have 4 and 5-star nonfictions, it's not as effective as like a 4 or 5-star fiction, because with nonfiction I usually read it more for like a learning purpose, whereas with fiction I'm reading it purely for enjoyment. The book I read that was nonfiction wasn't like self-help or anything like that, but I wasn't reading it like just purely for enjoyment. Like that's not why I read nonfiction. Fiction is my enjoyment. Fiction is my escapism. Fiction is my TV, my movies, because I don't watch TV and I don't watch movies. But I'm just not really loving what I've been reading. So I'm really, really, really hoping that I enjoy this. I'm hoping that at least one, but hopefully 2 books in this video are 4 or 5 stars. I really, really need it. I really want to enjoy something. But yeah, Woman Eating is what we're reading next, and I will give you an update probably at the 50% mark. Okay, so I finished reading Woman Eating. I probably finished this book maybe a week ago at this point, so I've had time to sit with my thoughts and decide how I want to rate this book. So I'm giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. This book, how do I even how do I even discuss such a book? So I don't think I gave you all a 50% update on this book because this book is really, really slow. And honestly, nothing happens until the very end of the book. But in this book, we're following our main character. And forgive me if I've already said this. These clips are being filmed amongst the span of like 2 months. But in this book, we follow our main character, whose name I can't actually remember. And she is half vampire, half human. And so she's just battling with the fact that she is half vampire, half human. So her mother is the one who was a vampire and turned her when she was a baby. And her mother always tells her that like they're demons, they don't deserve anything good. And she's never drank like human blood. She's always drank like pig blood because her mom feels like because they're half demon, they don't deserve anything good. So she only have pig blood and stuff like that. And she honestly can't even really consume human food. So it's interesting because like she'll watch like What I Eat in a Days and just see how like people pretty much don't just eat food, but they actually communicate and bond over food. And like she has this longing of wanting to belong in such a community where like food is a staple that brings people together, but she can't really have that because she's half vampire and she can only drink blood. And so we're kind of just following her, and at the very end there is like the main part, I guess you'd say, like the action happens at the very, very end. So if you don't mind like a very slow character-driven book, I think you would enjoy this. I think this is for a very specific type of person. It's a horror novel, but I don't feel like it's horrific, like it wasn't gory or gross. I think all the horrors that I've read this year, or I've only read 3 horrors, 1 at the end of last year and 2 that I read in January, and none of them were honestly like horrific in my opinion. They're all kind of like softer horrors, and they all have like lower ratings. So that was this book. That was Woman Eating. Alright, so I've determined what I want to actually make from this book. I decided that I'm going to make a steak because I played Cooking Mama earlier and I need to make a steak anyway. This is not going to be a Salisbury steak because I don't even know what that means. I think it's just like a prime choice. Let me see what kind of steak this is. It is a New York strip. So we're going to make a New York strip. The line that I saw that made me want to make a steak and kind of just double down and make one food for 2 purposes. I don't want to explain exactly. It's hard. I'm just going to read the line because if I explain this line at all, I'm actually going to spoil the book because I munched through the skin and muscle and bone, tasting chips and steak and gammon and soft-boiled eggs with bread soldiers dipped in, and reach a strange knot of flesh that I pull out with my teeth. So from there, I'm going to eat a steak. There's nothing necessarily about like what sides she used, so I'm just going to bake a potato. I'm going to have a steak. I won't cook the steak on camera because some people are so grossed out by like raw meat, so I won't do that, but I guess I'll show you me like plating the steak and stuff like that. So, and at the end I'll tell you how it turns out because I've only made steak a few times. I'm not someone who makes steak often at all. Okay, so it's super foggy in here. If you've ever made a steak, then you know it tends to get foggy. And also my washer is going off. But ooh, some of y'all who don't like steak especially, y'all gonna hate these little clips. But my goal was to get it like medium well, so it's getting well done, but I cut. No, I got it medium well. Oh my gosh, I'm actually so excited. Oh my gosh. I'm not gonna eat it just yet, just because my potatoes are still in the oven, but I figured I would give y'all a little taste test. Y'all are literally inside of my cabinet right now, but I'm so happy because if you know about steaks, then you know that steaks still cook off the pan. So I always want medium well steaks personally, but whenever I go to restaurants, I ask for medium because typically whatever you ask for, they give it to you one temperature closer to well, just because of how steaks cook by nature. So the fact that I got mine like a true I didn't know you. Oh my god, hold on. I was just gonna say, you know your steak is good when you don't need steak sauce. Like that's the essence of a good steak, is you don't need steak sauce. But I totally forgot that I literally got some chimichurri because I recently had chimichurri and it's honestly like changed my life. It's so freaking good. And I know I'm pronouncing it so American, okay? I didn't roll my R's, forgive me. This is so good. I was debating if I should just make it, but I was like, I'm not about to make that. Oh my goodness. Here's the sauce, you can't really see it. And I'm eating my steak with my hands, like what kind of bush girl am I? Bush girl. Okay, this chimichurri is by Badia. It's not as good as the one I got at the restaurant. I've had chimichurri twice at the restaurant. One time it was disgusting, and one time it was bomb. This one's like right in between. The texture's right, but let's see, maybe we should eat it again. No. Okay, bye. I'm 50% into With the Fire Run High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Y'all, I really don't know if I even introduced y'all to the fact that I'm reading this book. Like, I cannot remember. I absolutely cannot remember. But this book is about an Afro-Latina. She's half Puerto Rican, half black, but her Puerto Rican side is Afro too. Well, she's really black. She's spicy black. But this is about her. She's a high schooler. She has a kid, and she loves to cook. It's a contemporary, I believe. I don't know if there's gonna be, I feel like there's gonna be a romance that's going to ensue. I'm getting so much deja vu talking about this book like I've read it before and I have not. But I think a romance is going to ensue, but I'm not sure, I'm not positive. I'm about 50% in. It's giving slice of life vibes because, I mean, there is a plot, but nothing's going on at the same time. Like, it's just her everyday life. Like the way I have my everyday life, this is giving everyday life, which is fine, but I don't know. The chapters are short, which is nice because it's easy to read, like it's fast to read, even though it's been taking me like all week. I'm in a little bit of a reading slump, and it's like lighthearted, which is nice, so it's like helped me not be in as much of a slump, but it's also just not like super grasping. Like, I don't know, I thought I liked YA still, and I think I still do like YA, but this writing style does definitely give like YA, like it's a little bit pop culture-y. I don't know. It's doing what it needs to do. I'm hoping to finish it today or tomorrow because it's Friday right now. So I'm hoping to get it finished. There are a couple recipes in here. The book is broken down. It's like part 1, part 2. I'm currently in part 2. So I've got like 2 for full-on recipes, even though I don't have like any measurements because why would they? A handful of white sugar. Perfect. So I'll probably make one of her recipes. There's food mentioned throughout the book though, but I think making one of her recipes will be the best way to go about this. But yeah, I'll give you an update when I finish it. So far, it's probably like a 3-star. Like, it's fine, but it's not doing anything special for me. But at least I'm not hating it, so that's good. Okay, so this lighting is absolutely awful. I really dislike filming in my kitchen because the lighting is so bad. This time I have no ring light. I think it's equally as bad as with the ring light, so. And also, ignore this cabinet being open. We have an extra tripod contraption up here, which I will see soon. But I'm going to make the Imani's When Lemon Gives You Lemons, make lemon verbena tembleque. So lemon verbena tembleque is what we're making today. And it also says that this serves your heart when you're missing someone you love. For the ingredients, there are no measurements. Like, she literally says a handful of white sugar, 4 shakes of cornstarch, a bunch of lemon verbena leaves. So I can't make it like this because I don't know what this food is. So I can't just be over here eyeballing a food that I've never made in my life. Especially if it's like a dessert, you know, you kind of need actual measurements for dessert. But she has ingredients. She also has 4 steps directions, and at the very end she says this is best eaten cold while daydreaming about palm trees and listening to Hector Lavoe classic. So maybe we'll listen to him too. But I was able to find an actual recipe online. It's by Simply Recipes, and it's the same recipe but with actual measurements. And instead of having these lemon verbena leaves, I think it says you can have an optional peel of lime, which I'm not doing. I think she's doing that instead because I think these leaves are probably hard to find. Like, I went to a Caribbean food store. I didn't even look for them, honestly, because I knew I wasn't going to find them. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we have our ingredients. Although we're not going to do the exact ingredients she did, I am going to follow her recipe. So we'll see. This should be actually pretty interesting. Also, I'm going to back this camera up. We have our ingredients. We have cornstarch. We have 2 cans of organic unsweetened coconut milk. We have some vanilla, it's actually Dominican style, extract. I have another vanilla extract. Let me open that first. So I have this vanilla extract that I'm going to use first. And then we have some salt. We have some cinnamon. And we have our sugar. Let's go ahead and follow this recipe. So it says in a saucepan, heat coconut milk until it comes to a boil. Muddle a bunch of lemon verbena leaves and vanilla beans and add to the heated coconut milk. Let's steep. So I'm just going to go ahead and heat the coconut milk because I can't do the other stuff. Oh, this is a lot thicker than I thought it would be. Why is this one more creamy and this one's more watery? Like, is anyone else concerned? Okay. Ooh, that's actually so satisfying. It smells really good too. And in Imani's ingredients, she specifically said that you should get the add the mix in salt to cornstarch. I really hope that this is a safe space and y'all are not going to judge my cooking abilities based off of this, because these instructions are actually like really bad because they're not like really syncing with each other. I'm trying to go as close to what the book says, but the book didn't give us good direction. So when we're doing this part, we're supposed to have the verbena leaves steaming. I don't have verbena leaves, so I'm going to add the vanilla extract because that's what the online recipe said, and it said 1.5 teaspoons of that. And then also in this recipe, it has you like, was that supposed to be tablespoons or teaspoons? I think it was at 1.5 teaspoons. I just added a whole tablespoon, hold on. Yeah, it was supposed to be 1.5 teaspoons. I added a tablespoon. I guess it'll just be extra vanilla-y. I'm not mad, I like vanilla. But anyway, so in the book, it says that you're supposed to have this and then add the dry ingredients, but online it says dry ingredients and then pour this on top. I don't really know why it's like done in the opposite direction for both of them. I'm not gonna worry about it too much. I'm doing this for views. And we're gonna let this go ahead and boil for now, and then we're going to work on the dry ingredients. Y'all, I thought I was recording this whole entire time, and I wasn't, and I'm really upset because as I was doing this, my coconut cream milk literally bubbled over. It was boiling and I didn't notice. Ooh, child. Why did they want to mess up? See, mess up. Anyway, y'all couldn't tell, but I added the sugar and cornstarch in here. In Imani's recipe, they don't tell you to add the cinnamon yet, but in the online one, they do. And since we don't have the verbena leaves, I want to add the cinnamon now just because I don't know if it'll taste different without it. It's supposed to be 1/4 a teaspoon of cinnamon. Child, my measuring spoon, I just put them inside the sink and I'm not about to wash them right now. And I've got this coconut cream boiling over, so you know, I guess this is where I will eyeball. Oh, and it did say a pinch of salt, right? Is that in this part? Child, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see. Yep, and then that pinch of salt. To mix this all together. It says after 15 minutes, mix the infused coconut milk, which again, ours is not necessarily infused, with the salt, sugar, and cornstarch. Stir the mixture until the cornstarch is completely dissolved. Let the combined ingredients come to a boil and keep stirring until the mixture begins getting pudding thick. So this part is where we had the discrepancy between what was online and what's in the book. I believe online they wanted you to add the dry ingredients first. That way you don't have to worry about the cornstarch not breaking down, because cornstarch be acting a little bit difficult sometimes. But and do what the book says. Ignore how messy my stove is. I literally just had a spillage incident. So we're gonna wait until this gets pudding thick. I can already feel it getting thicker just because cornstarch is literally a thickening agent. So I'm already wishing I would have followed the online recipe fully, because this cornstarch is not breaking down. And in the online recipe, they said do the dry ingredients first. That way the cornstarch would break down easier. But Imani said do the dry ingredients last. And I listened to her, and this is already pudding thick. And this cornstarch is not breaking down. I've been shifting between this rubber spatula and the whisk, trying to get it to break down. But I don't know. Yo no sé. I don't know. Okay, so next day. This has been in the fridge for only God knows how long. This doesn't look very appetizing, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's my tembleque. I'm looking for a small spoon to eat this with. Just take a photo of it. I'm gonna try it live on camera and hope that I don't get a mouthful of cornstarch. Oh, also my heater's on, so sorry if you hear that. What is this? First, like I showed y'all earlier, the cornstarch sugar mixture definitely did not break down. It did not break down correctly. I think even if it had broken down correctly, I don't know if I would ever remake this. Like, even if it was perfectly smooth without lumps of cornstarch in it. I don't think I would remake this because for one, I don't even really like pudding. The only pudding I mess with is banana pudding. I will say that one of the goals is to make sure your pudding had no air bubbles in it, which mine doesn't. If you make this, do not follow her recipe. Alrighty, so I have officially finished reading these 4 books. So yeah, all these books either had food on the covers or food in the titles. And I'm going to go ahead and rank the foods that I ate as well as the books. The worst book from this video is honestly Happy Hour by Marlo Granados. I DNF'd it and I thought it was just so boring, so this is going to be in the last place spot. Next is Comfort Me with Apples by Catherine M. Valente. It's not even that I necessarily didn't like this book. I just feel like I personally do not enjoy when books use the Bible in them. I feel like it's a little bit blasphemous and it's a bit offensive. I wish this book hadn't done that because it was an interesting book, but I just can't vibe with that, so I gave this book 1 star. The next book is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a YA contemporary. I gave this 3 stars. I just thought the book was a little bit boring. It's 400 plus pages and there's not really much going on besides just her everyday life in high school. Not to mention that this recipe had me messed up. And then finally we have Woman Eating by Claire Coda. Again, I'm giving this book 3 stars, but I did think it was slightly more enjoyable than With the Fire on High. I think this book was also like kind of slow and sort of boring. Honestly, all these books were slow. And yeah, they were all slow. Wow. This one I'm rating a little bit higher because it was shorter, so at least it had that aspect going for it. Now let's rate the foods. Coming in at last place is Imani's Lemon Verbena Templeque. That was awful. And it was mostly awful because of the instructions on how to make it. I think the instructions were so bad. I think it could have been better had there been better instructions, but no. And I would rate that food a 1 star, mostly because of just the instructions. Like, I'm sure if it would have had better instructions, it could have been a lot better. Next is the toast points from Comfort Me with Apples. I thought these were actually really good. I want to give them 4 stars. Like, it was really just brioche bread toasted, get some butter, get some honey. Like, how can you go wrong with that? You know what I mean? I thought it was pretty good and I enjoyed it. Honestly, this can also get 5 stars for the food. The food was good. It was good, I can't lie. Especially if you eat it straight out the oven and you don't let it get cold. Very good. Next, I had sushi and I ate that because of this book, Happy Hour. I'd honestly rate the sushi 4 stars, but it's still higher than the toast points just because it's like an actual real food, you know what I mean? It's not just toast. And yeah, I give the sushi 4 stars. It was pretty good. She didn't specify any sushi. I think she did say nigiri a few times. Was not finna eat that. Nigiri hurts my stomach, but sushi was next. And then the best food came from the best book, in my opinion, of this video, which was the steak that I made because of Comfort Me with Apples. The steak was easily 5 out of 5. I'm so glad about how it turned out. And yeah, so this is the second reading vlog I've ever filmed. Unfortunately, similar to my last one, I did not get any books above 3 stars, but I think this video was pretty fun. I enjoyed filming it. I enjoyed reading and eating with you all. I hope you all enjoyed this video and found it entertaining. If you want to see more reading vlogs from me, make sure to stay subscribed and let me know in the comments if you enjoy these types of videos, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.